Yeah, so this is some work doing, and it's sort of a developing idea. And it's work doing with Yvonne Dukes, also Lucy Clippen from University of Technology, and then there's a broader group of us who are looking at correctional design and correctional practice. So the scale I'm talking is a bit different, and sort of raise some questions at the end around that. So the problem sort of looking at is, it's a large problem at the moment in New South Wales where we come from, is this increasing prison population. Crime's actually going down, so the number of crimes, but the prison population is escalating to the point where I think in the next 3 years it's $3.8 billion and 3,000 beds they're building, and then in 5 years it's 7,000. That's huge amounts of money. And there's a whole sort of criminology literature around that we shouldn't be sending all these people to jail. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But that's not happening. And part of the reason for that is sort of community attitudes and stereotypes. Those attitudes and politicians' attitudes around sort of prisoners and prisons and what they should do and be. And just wanted to sort of raise this question. So what attitudes and stereotypes does typical prison design support? I mean, prison, there's that sort of broader literature, more so than any, other environment. It really is a statement around its purpose and containing, people in that total institution. So I'll present to you one prison, so Prison A. I've got little photo albums that you can peruse later on. And this is just a standard prison in New South Wales. It might be hard to see a few of these, but this sort of, that layout, number of fences, perimeter fencing. This is the entrance, a little bit hard to see, but sort of quite a large entrance. Numerous levels of sort of security within. One of the sort of accommodation pods, so 2 stories, exercise type yard. One of the accommodation wings, so it's got this area and then up and down. Modern in some respects. One of the rooms, this is a yard, so at the back of one of those wings there'll be an exercise yard, and this is that yard where people spend their time outside. This is sort of into a vocational area, a school area, it's a classroom and the things. So that's it's quite a standard, typical modern prison. There's sort of a coldness about it, but I sort of wanted to ask a question. So what do you reckon the prison, the prisoners and the guards would be like there? What's your sense? Do you have a sense of what it'd be like to live there? We maybe can sort of explore that a bit more, but I think there is a sense that it's a typical prison. I suppose the question that sort of asking here, and more broadly about the empathy thing, is can prison design blur and disrupt community stereotypes about prison and prisoners? So can actually the prison itself, as an object in a community, can it challenge the stereotypes that we have about what prison is and what prisoners are? And through that, enabling sort of empathy, and with that empathy, can we have different discussions around criminal justice? So I'll present Prison B. So it's another prison in Sydney. It's actually our prison. I can explain that a little bit more later on. You can't see that Case's house, it's just up there, actually. There's sort of a lagoon, it's just here. This is sort of the main administration building leading into the facility. This is one of the accommodation areas. another one. This is one of the rooms, so sort of standard room there. There's, within each pod there's cooking facilities, and this is one of the kitchens. An outdoor area going sort of back out from that. And then there's communal sort of cooking and eating areas. This is a picture of the school or education facility there. And this is another view looking back in and a sort of a cultural space. And then these sort of outside communal areas as well, and a shop as part of the facility. This is one of the recreation facilities. So I sort of pose that question again. What do you reckon the prisoners and guards would be like here? Does it sort of create or challenge that stereotype? And sort of that question, can prison design disrupt community attitudes and stereotypes? And can it blur the correctional space? So what we see it as, can it blur that and promote a reform agenda where, you know, justice and reform and rehabilitation are there, and justice needs to be had, but it can be different. Where prison design's an empty thing. So, and this is where I sort of question, not quite, is it an empathy thing, or is prison design a thing that creates conditions where community empathy can happen? Does it open up, change people's sort of preceding attitudes where it can? I'd put at the moment, so that typical design is a way, it's foreign, it puts it out of your sphere of understanding, and it labels them as bad and people not to engage with. But by changing the environment, maybe you change the possibility for connection.